Welcome to Power Yourself, where I talk about the most important topic in the world, you. Ever spend time reflecting on that dialogue that happens in your head? Is it working for you, or is it actually working against you? We all have that internal voice, but the question becomes, how much energy are you actually putting into shaping it or really cleaning it up? For today's episode, we're going to focus the talk on self-talk. What is it, and what are some ways that you can consciously do to help it actually work for you instead of against you? A friend of mine actually called me out a few years back on this. We were working out, and I must have let one of what I thought was a motivator slip out of my mouth. It was something along the lines of, you can do this better, or stop being so weak. My friend Diane yelled at me and she said, "Jill, who are you talking to?" I kind of just shrugged it off and laughed, and I said, it was just me trying to really motivate myself. And let's just say for the next 30 minutes, I definitely got schooled. See, the thing was, I was a really great motivator for everybody around me, really positive and great with the positive reframe. Really helping people see their achievements and promoting them to really keep it up. But the thing is, for myself, I wasn't really that good. It was always what's next, or how can I actually get better? Never, ever really holding the moment, always really looking in the future, what's next, what's next. The problem with that was I always had a problem with consistency. I was never able to really keep up the motivation to keep doing the things that I wanted to do. And before my friend Diane really broke it down for me, I don't even know if I realized that I was actually doing it. So we talked about how I would never, ever use that language with any of my friends because it was cruel and actually it was demoralizing in a way. And how if I used it, I probably wouldn't really have any friends. So then the question became, well, if I wouldn't use it with my friends, then why am I using it with myself? How did I really expect to motivate myself with negativity? And was I even aware that this was going on? After that conversation, I have to admit, it really changed things for me. I started to be really self-aware of that dialogue that was happening, what I was using in my head, and I started to actually choose to make it more positive. Now, guys, I can't say that from that day forward, I was 100% positive. But what I can say is that I really became more aware of the words that I was using. And I really made that conscious effort to almost reprogram what I was telling myself, always using the lens of, would I say this to somebody I loved? At the end of the day, we have to love and learn how to motivate ourselves. Nobody's ever going to be able to do this for us. I truly feel it's part of the journey that I feel we actually must be able to conquer before we can come to that place of love and acceptance for ourselves. So self-talk, let's break it down. So basically, it's that voice inside your head that's almost giving you that continuous dialogue, okay? It's continuous commentary. It's always saying something. Now, the thing is, it has a big impact on how you feel and what you do. It's going to start to actually impact your confidence and how you start to actually show up in the world. So positive self-talk, that's going to help you feel good. It's going to be that optimistic voice in your head. It's going to be saying, I'm doing this. I'm doing the best I can. Great job. Keep it up. Like when you go to the gym or you do something that you're very proud of, it's going to start to acknowledge, way to go. You showed up today. You tried. And it's really going to have that optimistic lens. But negative self-talk, that's going to actually start to promote feeling really down. You're going to really start to look at trying to blame other people. You're going to really start to look at that negative kind of way. Nothing's ever really going to work out for me. I'm not good enough. I need to do better. That kind of stuff. Now, the thing is, I feel that we're almost prone to the negative, that we start thinking, we can't do anything right, or I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough. Why should I even try? And I really feel that we have to make that conscious effort to really clean up our heads and to really, almost like I said, reprogram what's going on in our thoughts. And the reason I think that is so important is because I feel once we're able to be conscious of this dialogue and start to really bring that awareness and start to clean it up, we can actually help it to work for us as opposed to against us. So think about having all of those negative self-talk happening inside your head, okay? Oh, this is going to be a horrible day. This is not great. You're not going to do good. Think of the feelings that you're going to start to have once you use that dialogue in your head. You're almost looking at things through that negative lens. So it's almost like if you're looking for negative stuff, you're going to start to find a lot more of it, okay? So if we try to make that conscious effort to clean it up and try to reframe and try to look through that positive lens, we're going to start to see more positive things around us. And that's going to help get our motivation up and help fuel us to move forward. Now, guys, I don't want you to think that you can never have a negative thought. You know, we're all human. It's going to happen. We almost instinctively go there sometimes. But the thing is, if we can make that conscious effort to be more positive, I feel that we'll truly be able to motivate ourselves in such a positive way that we actually start to build confidence. Build confidence, we build self-esteem. We start to show up stronger and prouder in our interactions. And that actually helps us succeed more in life. And not to mention that I think we have way more positive interactions when we are showing up with that positive self, when we are making the conscious effort to really show up as our best selves. And that takes that pep talk inside your head. It takes that almost coach inside your head trying to prompt you and encourage you to really show up and put that effort in and try. So the first big piece of self-talk is actually realizing that it's happening. Okay, so to have the time to reflect and realize what dialogue is actually happening inside your head. And then the next step is kind of to realize you actually have control over it. I know that kind of sounds, sometimes it doesn't, it's not as easy as it sounds, but it's the more we practice, take the time to really practice what is being said in our heads, the more we can actually take control over it. So like I said, the first step is always going to be that self-awareness piece. So realizing what you're saying and is that really serving your purpose? And then it's about taking that conscious effort to make your self-talk in line with really what you want to achieve and how you really want to show up in the world. I always think it's like that muscle you're trying to build. You know, think of the gym. When you go to the gym, you're not going to start out at 50 pounds. You're going to start at like that, 2, 5, or it's a lot lower. And by practicing, by really showing up and putting that effort in, you're going to build that muscle. And that means you're going to be able to maybe catch that self-talk a lot quicker, as opposed to maybe it going down that negative route for a day or two and not really realizing it. So the more you flex it, the more you use the muscle, checking in with that self-awareness piece and really understanding what the dialogue is inside your head, then the quicker you're going to be able to take that next step and really try to correct it. The reason we really want to try to correct it is because think of our negative self-talk, okay? I mentioned about having a bad day and really focusing on that negative lens. But think, when you're always thinking those negative things, you're going to start to have emotions really tied to that negative self-talk, okay? So nobody here, I'm sure, wants to spend their whole day in a negative space or feel really down. So it's about trying to use the language in our heads to really work with us. So help us with our mood, help us feel that a little bit more optimistic or happy or joy. So that's why I always talk about meditation or mindfulness, really trying to be present in the moment and really take note and almost be grateful for where you are in that current moment. So by really taking control of your mind and practicing the mindfulness, you're helping what the thoughts are in your head. You're almost taking control back. So by taking control and making it that positive lens or more optimistic lens, then like I said, those positive emotions, you're going to start to feel this, and you're generally just going to start to feel better and show up probably a little happier, a little more joyful, and maybe actually have a little bit more of an optimistic view. So once you take note of that dialogue that's happening in your head, I guess you always want to see, is that really motivating you? Ask yourself, get curious. Is that really working for me right now? Am I showing up? Am I doing what I want to achieve in life and how I actually want to achieve it? So positive self-talk, it's going to be linked, like I said, with that higher sense of self, that higher self-esteem, whereas the negative self-talk, it's going to be linked with more higher stress levels, lower self-esteem, almost that feeling of helplessness that the world is happening to you as opposed to you showing up. So it's all about looking and seeing, what is your perception of what's happening? Is there an opportunity for you to be able to look at this in a different light? So as opposed to really focusing on the negative and almost like beating yourself up in your head, can you be doing this a different way? As opposed to coming at yourself in that hostile approach, maybe from that insecure level, it's about, wait a second, you're showing up, you're really trying, and how can you really coach yourself and pep talk yourself to really show up and continue to try? By having those positive self-talks, it's more, you're like your own cheerleader in your way. And hey guys, let's be real. Who doesn't need their own cheerleader in their ear? So some days we all have crappy days. We all show up, we don't want to try that day. But it's about how can we encourage ourselves to show up and try when really we just don't want to do it. We really want to sit down on the couch. We just kind of want to check out. Because if we continue to feed into that checkout mode, then are you going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve in life? Are you really going to be able to show up and be the person who you want to be? Or are you just going to wake up in 10 years and realize that you had control, you had the potential to really do this self-work, show up, clean your head, figure out what's going on for you, and try to really change that to work with you as opposed to working against you. So moving forward, how can you really change that self-talk? So it's about, like I said, practicing the muscle of catching yourself. Notice the dialogue that's happening. Actually listen to it. Listen to how you're coaching yourself, how you're trying to motivate yourself. And then it's about that self-awareness piece of stopping when it's happening in that negative way. Now, once you notice that it's happening, it's about being able to really step back and breathe. Take a second, just clear your mind, maybe refocus, maybe really become present. Remind yourself it's a perception, okay? What you're thinking, it's not actually always factual, even though we really want to believe it is sometimes, but it's not. What else might be happening here? What's another lens I can look at this? And really start to look at, maybe is there some positive alternatives to some of this negative thought that I'm thinking? My kind of line after mine and Diane's conversation is, what would I say to a friend? If I was really trying to encourage somebody to show up and succeed or continue trying, how would I encourage a friend of mine? And then I try to pep talk myself through that lens. It's almost like you're practicing genuine kindness with yourself. And I think we need to be able to learn to do this for ourselves, because when we take charge and take that power back, which is what I believe all of these podcasts are about, it's about taking the power back for yourself, realizing that, wait a second, you have control over this. Mightn't seem like it every day, but you do. It's about really putting that effort in, really spending the time, and really practicing those self-care and self-help tools to help you have a better, higher quality life. Learning how to motivate ourselves, I think, is one of the gold mines that we can figure out in life. Once we can do this, we really almost allow more acceptance for ourselves when we start to stumble or maybe make a mistake. We're not as rigid. We're way more flexible with encouraging ourselves and realizing, wait a second, I made a mistake. It doesn't define me. I can show up tomorrow and I can try again. And it's all about that almost self-forgiveness of being not perfect, because none of us are. And then once we can do that with ourselves, I feel that actually trickles to other people. So we start to be a little bit kinder to the person next to us as we watch them stumble. Or maybe the person who hasn't started the self-work yet, or maybe they're stumbling a little bit more. You have more patience then because you've practiced that with yourself first. So it's easier to recognize it and notice of what has to actually happen for the other person. So you're more patient with each other, but I also find you're more genuine. You're just helpful. You want other people to succeed. And the more we can show up with each other and really support each other in this journey, I find, wow, what a better quality life that not only is it going to be for ourselves, but a better quality society if we can really genuinely encourage each other to succeed, as opposed to be almost competing with each other. If we can show up and show that genuine support, I truly believe with every ounce of my being that we can make this society a more positive place to live. So what you want to try to do is just practice that self-awareness, okay? Acknowledge, what are you telling yourself when you're trying something new, or as you get up and approach the day or a situation? What's happening for you internally? Are you being positive with yourself? Are you coaching yourself as if you truly love yourself? Or are you maybe being more negative? Are you really being critical and almost competing with yourself? Almost trying to motivate yourself from that place of fear or scarcity. So as we wrap up today, I just want to leave you with the goal to check in with yourself. What are you actually saying to yourself? Are you being a friend? And if not, why not? Take the time to consciously check in with your thoughts. Start to become aware of what that dialogue is that you are repeating over and over again, and practice the ability to stop the negativity and really consider, is there another way you can actually be looking at this? Maybe, like I said, what would you say to somebody you loved? So give it a go and practice it, and just be aware of how that's actually changing your mood. How is that changing your interaction? Are you maybe showing up and you're a little bit more happy or smiling or a little bit more positive? And acknowledge that. Appreciate the fact that you're taking the time, putting this effort in to really change the quality of your life. And not only will the people around you thank you, but it's about yourself. It's learning that you have the capability all within you to have the best life possible. It's just about putting that effort in. So guys, as always, it's my absolute pleasure and honor to share any of the tools with you that I feel has really made a difference in my life, in my happiness, and in my journey. We are all humans, just truly striving to be happy. The more we can really show up, be transparent with each other, really share our stories, be vulnerable, the easier it's going to be for more people to find their own way and what's their happiness recipe that really fits for them. So encourage that. Show up, do your work, be honest with each other, and share what works to really promote this positive lifestyle. As we end today's show, please, guys, don't forget, take the time, rate the show, leave a review. I would absolutely love to hear from you. I wish you all hearts full and so much success with this. And always remember, it needs to start with the ability to power yourself.